Welcome to those of you that are joining us live to Healing Moments with KarinnaNielsen. And it's July 4th, 2020. This is the U.S. Independence Day. And I'm going to unmute everybody. Well, maybe I'll keep the mute on for now. I want to welcome you to this Healing Moments program, and we meet the first Saturday of every month. Here and also live on Facebook. Let me just see if I can help somebody who might need the help. There we go. Everybody's muted here. If you want to turn your camera off, you can. Otherwise, you're live on Facebook. How cool is that? So anyway, Healing Moments, our program, is dedicated to healing the self and aging our souls and moving forward on our evolutionary journeys. Each month, we create a space to look at life's big questions about healing and consciously creating our experience. Together, we're finding the answers, tuning in to our hearts to move into the new dimensional energies. This month's topic is leaving no stone unturned, healing ourselves and Mother Earth. So I know that sounds a little dramatic, but some of you might be in a dramatic space. Like, for example, I am myself also in a little bit dramatic space. I hope you gather some wisdom from our collective energies today, and that we find a way to heal ourselves and to understand what's happening in the world and what's happening in our own lives. So as we begin, I'm wondering if you would just like to sit comfortably wherever you are. And if you're listening to this on Facebook or on the recording, please just get comfortable and sit back and just relax a moment. I'm going to open with a prayer, and we're going to do the 5 breath self-healing meditation, just 5 breaths at each of the places. So the 5 breath self-healing meditation is a beautiful breathing meditation method that's taught to us from my mentor, Kahu Fred Sterling. And you can find more information about it on signaturecellhealing.com or link to it on my website, KarinnaNielsen.com. So everybody, when this type of breathing is deep pranic breathing, and we're breathing in the photon light that is here to help us through our great shift in consciousness. So when you breathe, the air, the prana, the photon, comes through your crown chakra like a dolphin breath. So imagine these golden particles above your crown chakra, and then you're going to feel them come through the crown chakra down into your heart space through the pineal gland, and you bring it down to your heart space. And at that point, you lock the breath. Just quickly, you lock the breath and you weave all 4 bodies together: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And as you lock those together, you exhale through your mouth, and there's a bit of a release that happens, and that sends the light from your heart chakra up to your shoulders, through your arms, and out your palms. So let's try and take one of those breaths. So breathe in and lock it. And when the light comes down through your pineal gland, it changes to white light. So golden particles to white light. Lock it in your heart. Exhale, and it comes out your palm. And it's a very relaxing form of breathing. So please try with me now this 5 breath self-healing meditation. There are 5 hand placements. The first one is right here at your crown chakra. So put your right hand on top of your crown chakra and place your left hand on top of it. Breathe in, lock it, and let this light go down through into your head. Your whole cranium just expands with this healing white light. And the next hand placement is at your closed eyelids. Take your index finger and your middle finger. Breathe in, release, and let the light go through your fingertips into your eyes, all the way back over the retina, cones and the rods, back to the vagus nerve, the optic nerve, the vagus nerve, and down your spine. And then the next breath is at your heart muscle. So place the right palm here, the left palm on top with your thumb pointing up towards your neck, and then breathe in and just feel the light go into your heart muscle and throughout your chest. So let's try that. And just feel that expansive healing energy. Now, next placement is at your third chakra, right at your stomach. So place your right palm there and your left palm on top. Breathe in as before and out through your palms, in through your stomach and this whole abdomen area where we have the major organs of our digestive system. And just feel that light healing that area. And the last one is down at your second chakra, right above the pubic area. Breathe in and allow the energy to flow through you into this area. I'm going to adjust the light again. So let the light come through your whole physical body and close your eyes now. I'm going to get a little bit better mood lighting here for our meditation. So breathe in. Close your eyes and just relax. And you're going to feel this pranic photon energy just circulating through your whole body now. And I call upon the creator force of all love and light, the Christ light, the goddess weave of love, all of our guides and our angels and our guidance lights. And here in Lemuria, the beautiful rain is beginning to fall. And we take that as a sign of the beautiful elemental goddesses being with us. Pele, Isis, Mariah, and Gaia, the goddesses of the elements. And ask all to join us this day, as well as the higher selves of those listening and those coming in later on the recording. We pray now that the energy of love permeate through this gathering, and we open our hearts to all of the energies of love that are the possibilities for all of us moving forward, setting our minds forward in love at this time. And I'm humbly grateful for everyone that's joining us today. And so it is in love. Amen. Okay, so I'm available on Facebook Messenger. Let's see. I'm getting a message from Facebook where I want to post this. So I got to go live now. I don't think I did that right, but select go live. So I'm going to go live. I guess I'm live now. Okay. Well, if you want the recording from the beginning, we're going to be able to do it. I'm looking at Facebook Messenger as well. So if you have a question and you don't want to place it in the chat, you can also put it on Facebook Messenger. I'd be happy to answer your questions, because this program really is about us sharing our healing moments, and everybody's got them now. I want to talk a little bit about, I want to tell you that questions and answers anytime you like. You're muted, but I believe you can unmute yourself. If you can't, let me know and I'll unmute you. Raise your hand. I think there's a way to raise your hand in Zoom. You can do that as well. And you can ask your questions whenever you like throughout the program. I'd be happy to answer. So, let's start with the topic, leaving no stone unturned, healing ourselves in Mother Earth. What does that mean? Leaving no stone unturned. And that's something that I heard from Master Guide Kirill many years ago, and I've been working with Fred Sterling and Master Guide Kirill for over 20 years now. And so I'm working on getting my healing still, like all of you. And Master Guide Kirill told us many times in our healing journeys, leave no stone unturned. Meaning when something comes up for you, you know, it's not like you're going to get a healing and you're going to be healed the next day and that's it. If we're still on Earth, we're still doing the human journey. And when things come up for you, it's time, or for me too, for any of us, it's time for us to look at that. And I'm not talking about looking at it in terms of blaming yourself or blaming somebody else. I'm talking about taking the responsibility for what's happening in our lives and understanding what it is saying to you. So when something happens in my life and, you know, it triggers something, you know, maybe I feel anger or I feel frustration or something just really grabs my attention and I'm thinking, well, why is it like that? Why isn't it like this? Then you've got to ask yourself, what is that? How is that about me? And that's what I call leaving no stone unturned. So as we're walking through on the path of life, how do we, you know, every stone that we step on is our next step forward in our journey. But if you turn over those stones, you may just find something that you haven't thought about before and something you haven't looked at. So in order to complete our journey on the third dimensional energies where we are right now, this dynamic world that we're living in right now, we all came here with a blueprint. So you love the Creator so much that you raise your hand to go to planet Earth at this time of the great shift in consciousness. This time that looks like to you know, the casual observer looks pretty chaotic, and it can really feel that way in our lives too, can't it? So, you know, we wanted to be here, and we created before we came here a blueprint or a plan, a life plan for what we wanted to do in this lifetime. So we don't necessarily know overtly what's in that plan. We're here to discover it. That's what makes the journey more fun. And so we're discovering, we're turning over every stone whenever we can to understand, what did we put in that blueprint? Why did we do that? Why did we set it up like this? And I really enjoy looking at my own blueprint, but also looking at other people at their blueprints to figure out what's going on. And it's really it's a blessing for me, and I'm grateful for the people that I interact with on my healing journey. So I'll slow down a minute and also say that you made that blueprint. Now you have the opportunity to get your light ready, your particle of light with that blueprint. And then your mother and your father come together at exactly the time that they're supposed to come together. And you enter your light with the blueprint into the sperm and the egg, and it creates that first trinity. And that trinity of love is what guides you throughout this journey. So when we're healing, we remember the light comes into us. And when we do that 5 breath self-healing meditation, when we get a signature self-healing, or when we go into meditation and we feel the love, we're feeling the original love memory of that life plan, of the connection to the Creator's force of love and light. Excuse me. So this is what I'm talking about with leaving no stone unturned. So when something comes up for us now, and I'm talking about even triggers in our social world the political world, the coronavirus. I mean, everything that's going on. You know, we can't go out like we used to. And you know, it's interesting that I've heard someone speaking about many people are feeling a sense of mourning because their old way of life has died, and they're actually mourning, realizing that yes, I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's happening for me. So I'm I'm having this challenge to understand that I can't see where I'm going, but I know what's behind me is done, and that somehow I'm feeling that. So people are maybe mourning a sense, having a sense of loss of the way of life that we used to have. And can't you feel that too? I mean, I know that take me for example. At the beginning of this year, I was really planning on going to 3 or 4 different places this year to do signature cell healing workshops. And in March, all of that was just gone. I mean, everything had to be canceled because there's obviously no traveling right now. So, you know, my Cajo Fred always talks about the 5 or 50 journey, right? The 5 or 50. So, I mean, I had an opportunity to really sit down and cry and wonder what the heck do I do now? But fortunately, there's a couple of really wonderful people. Their name is Thea and Thomas in the Netherlands. And they were my hosts for the Netherlands workshops. And they said, no way, let's do it online. So that's where I became a Zoom aficionado and began to learn how to use Zoom to connect. And we had our first steps to signature cell healing, healing the self, which is really level 1, part 1, and all about the self-healing techniques. And we did that in May. And just for a heads up for you, we're going to do it again in September. And those that take that course will be able, or have taken the first course, will be able to go on and do part 2 of level 1 and get certified as a level 1 signature cell healer later this year in the fall. So we're gonna open up the registration soon. So please stay tuned for that. You can do it online. We have to do it on what else am I going to do? You know, sit home and think. You know, so it's back to the 5 or 50, right? The 5 or 50 means the 5 or 50 steps. And I always say 5 or 50, and people say, "What do you mean 5 or 50?" Well, in the Lemurian Numerology, the number 5 is the number for love. So you can, if you have a journey like that, for example, you know, a plan to go do workshops, or let's just say you have a healing journey. Let's say you have cancer, or you have a relationship problem that's challenging you, or you have just something going on in your life, and you take 5 steps toward it, and you do something, and you try to do something, and it doesn't resolve itself. You go and you think, okay, for cancer, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And you take those steps and you still have the cancer. Well, you have a choice at that point, right? You have a choice to sit down and cry and not move forward at all, or you can take another step. And that's why we call it the 5 or 50. That's why we call it the 5 or 50, because you're going to take another step, you're going to take 50 steps, or you're going to take 500 steps until you get to the journey and get to the end of the journey that you're envisioning. So, you know, how long will it be? You might be asking me, you know, how long is it going to be? Well, you know, they have this saying in the spiritual world, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And boy, isn't that the truth? So I hate to pull in that cliche, but really, as you're taking your journey, you might be healing yourself at the same time. So don't give up is the message from the 5 or 50. Never quit, never give up. So that's, you know, that's my feeling about it. And I'm going to share with you in a minute. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in Messenger, or you can put them in the chat, or raise your hand, and I'll see that as well. I think you can raise your hand under the chat, or more in the chat has the hand raised, or just put in the chat that you'd like to. And thank you, Sandra, for the wow. Wow is right. And Sandra and Aldine were two of the wonderful people that were in that first steps course in May. And we had, I think it was 27 wonderful people from all around the world. I'm talking about all around the world. I mean, our focus was to Europe, because we were webcasting live at that time zone that was convenient in the evening for that time zone. However, we had people from Japan, we had people from Australia, and that was the middle of the night for them, which was just a blessing. And then we had people on the East Coast in Canada and West Coast and here in Hawaii. So it was a lot of fun, and I personally learned a lot. I got it was challenging for me, but I look back on it very fondly, and I'm grateful. So looking forward to the next First Steps course, which, by the way, is going to be expanded, going from a 6-hour program to a 9-hour program. So it's not 9 hours all at once. It's 3 hours on 3 different Thursdays, 3 successive Thursdays. So, and it's in September. So keep watching either signaturecellhealing.com or KarinnaNielsen.com for that. And I'll also have it in Facebook. Facebook has a Signature Cell Healing Facebook. So yeah, let's talk about this month a little bit, because leaving no stone unturned also brings the energy of this month, which is the month of July, and it's the 7th month, and the 7th in Lemurian numerology represents transition. So when you're at a 7, when you've got that, and that's where we are, you know that change is imminent, and you're already in the transition energy. And can't you feel that? I mean, if you have a 7, by the way, as a birth number, so if you add up your day, month, and year, and you come to a 7, oh boy, you're in it all the time. And if you're not consistently transitioning into something new, if you're either resisting that, ignoring that, or not doing that, you are going to be open for change. Okay, so I just got a message here. Let's see. Oh, okay. Here she is. Okay, so somebody wanted to come in. Welcome, Bhavana. Okay, so we're just talking about the numerology of the month. And aloha. And I think everybody's muted for now. But if you have a question, just raise your hand. And I think we're live on Facebook, but I'm not sure. Anyway, good to have you here. So we're in the month of transition, and the Lemurian numerology is on my website under the Lemurian wisdom, so you can take a look there. But this is the time for transformation and growth. And I also want to mention, astrology is not my forte. I enjoy it. I'm teaching myself a lot. I'm learning a lot, and I'm a student of the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School. I love those people, and I think any astrologer, whatever school you're talking to, will tell you about the transformative energies that are happening now, that are very long cycles that happen to our world in terms of Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter. And these are the planets that portend monumental change in the structure of societies, governments, organizations, communities, everything. And when you bring Pluto and Saturn into a mix, you often have the energy of a pandemic. And we saw it with the AIDS pandemic, and Ebola. All of those were in relation to Pluto and Saturn in their various aspects. So we're also in that energy. Tonight is an eclipse. It's a penumbral lunar eclipse. So it's not really, one of those red ones where it's really, it's really beautiful and you can see it really clearly. This is this kind of a shadow eclipse, which is really an interesting type of eclipse to have right now, because the shadow in many, many ways is being exposed. And so we're grateful to have these energies to reflect to us what's going on in our own lives, because that's all really the energies as above, so below, right? So in our world, there's a whole lot of transformation. There's a lot about how do we want to partake in the energies now? How can we see a reflection for ourselves? So if you have something to share, please do. I'm going to, let's see, I've got a comment from Sandra here, and she says, I've started to learn a lot from your first course, Karinna, and oops, it jumped. And I haven't forgotten that I need to, okay, so complete evaluation. Can you possibly help me and maybe others understand that there must be levels of this shift? Yes, there are. That's a quick yes. If this dimension is truly going to disappear someday. Disappear, yeah, I like the word that Master Kirill used recently, and he uses it in the Great Shift book, and that word is collapse. So the third dimension is actually going to collapse, and that might bring up a lot of fear, but when it does, the fourth dimension is ready, and there's a vacuum, almost like a vacuum that sucks in a fifth dimensional energy that will help us to do what we need to do. So the more we're in resistance to what is, the more of a struggle it is. So that's a really important point, that when things are feeling dicey, or when you feel like, oh my God, what's happening? I don't like this. I hate this. I don't want to stay in lockdown. It's a pandemic. I have to stay in lockdown. Well, if we're in resistance to what is, to the situation around us, or in our own lives, in our relationships, we're going to spiral in it, and it's going to be extremely uncomfortable. So what we need to do is get into it instead of turning the other way and running from, in a fearful way. We got to be brave. I know it takes a lot, and it's not easy to turn around and, like, it's in my my channeling from Goddess Sophia, face the music. She said, face the music. I was like, what? That's a good one. And that's pretty harsh in a way, right? Face the music. We got to face the music in our lives. Okay. And so I'm going to tell you a minute how I'm facing the music in my life. You might not think you got such a hard journey, but it's, everybody's got a challenge, and we all feel that way, right? Okay. So Sandra, going on. So I'm just going on. So people have to understand that there must be levels of this shift if this dimension is truly going to disappear. Perhaps I have to remember to differentiate between our personal shifts or transitions that of the planet. Well, just short answer, there is no separation. There's no separation between you and I, Sandra, me and the pandemic, me and our government. We are all one. We are the creator's force of love and evolutionary light on this planet. And when I can recognize the beauty in you, Sandra, and your experience, and the beauty in the experience of the United States on this Independence Day, which is a real different Independence Day. If anybody can't feel that, you're probably in another country. It's different this year. And last night, just short segue, I watched the first part of Hamilton, which is streaming now. And oh my God, it was so wonderful and so amazing and so compelling to think about the ideals that this country was founded on, And this is the American, they call it the American experience or experiment. I would call it the American experience. And I've lived in other parts of the world. And so I've looked at this country from outside and I've looked at it from inside. And I have my personal feelings also about America, having lived most of my life in Hawaii, and knowing that side of our American government, of you know, the darker side of our history. And these are the things that part of this Pluto Saturn conjunction with Jupiter, Pluto, is causing us to look at, is our dark history, and what we've learned over the years might not have been the whole truth. In any case, getting back to Sandra's, if so, okay, so we know that we're connected to everything, right, Sandra? Then perhaps how much we personally shift or transition, to borrow your word, will help determine where we end up at that point in time when this dimension closes down and planet Earth shifts. So the great shift is not out there. The great shift is in here, in me and in you. So I am the great shift. You are the great shift. We're all the great shift. And when I heal, the world heals. So for me, that, you know, the way my blueprint is, that just called me to responsibility. I must heal myself in that case, you know, so I'm just a go-getter, right? But sometimes it can get scary when you look at your own healing. And like Sophia said, I have to turn and face the music, because it's not going to go away. It's going to come back again in another form. If I, you know, for example, if I, you know, girlfriend, boyfriend, you drop this girlfriend and you get another relationship, but it's the same thing all over again because you haven't dealt with your relationship issues. So, I mean, it's like that with everything. So I'm going to look again, Sandra. There's so many changes occurring within how human beings relate to each other in society. So we must be allowed to shift in positive ways. Well, that's our choice, right? And that's part of what I wanted to say today was we've got to stay in a positive light. And I must admit, in the last month or so, you know, especially there's a lot of planets retrograde too right now, you know. And after I came off of that First Steps course, it was so much fun, so successful. I mean, I really did have to kind of grind myself forward again, thinking, okay, how can I make it better? I want to make it better. We got to get it going, you know. And then I felt like all this pandemic is going on, you know. You got to wear a mask when you go out. You can't see your friends, you know, all of that. Even though I know this is what we must do right now, and I'm willing to do it, it wears on you, you know. Admit it, you know, it wears on you. I can't travel the way I wanted to travel, but I'm willing to do that to get through where we are now. And so I reminded myself the need to look on the bright side and to look for what I can celebrate in my life and celebrate in the world. So I encourage all of you to do that. Go look at a flower, look at those nice flowers here, go outside in your yard or walk your street, and don't forget to wear your mask, but walk your street and look at the trees and the flowers and feel the sun on your face. You know, find something really positive that's going on and focus on it, because it's so easy to get drawn into the negative. I've got an hallelujah from Aldine, who says, hallelujah, Sophia, face the music, and lots of musical notes. That's beautiful. Join the chorus as your heart guides you. So that's a beautiful share. Thank you, Aldine, Mahina crew. So yeah, if you have any shares, come ahead, raise your hand, or you know. Okay, let's unmute Bhavana. Bhavana, what you got? Let me.
Hi,
you're
lady.
unmuted. Hi.
Aloha from Kauai. Actually, if you could see a peekaboo view of my yard, and the beautiful palms out there, and I have some
Beautiful.
greenery growing inside as well. Let's put it back to me.
Yes.
So I love how I connect in whenever I connect in, although our spirit and energy is always there. You said you
Yes.
feel diamond head. Sometimes I'm not always there, you know, in the physical and the, you know, in the ethers fully. But so I had a client recently, and I did what I call spirit to spirit communication. You may know it as mediumship, and I hadn't done that in a long while because it doesn't come up for every client. And what I have, you know, set methods and existing techniques that are really effective, but leave it up to spirit, of course. So the reason I say that is to segue into your newsletter. What came up was some healing of her feelings of her inner child, um, and it came up in an image of her in childhood placing stones very consciously on the earth,
Wow.
and but that was her spirit nature. But she felt unseen, unheard, invisible, inadequate, less than. This is an African American client. I've known her about 25 years, almost 20 years. It's her very first healing with me. And
Wow.
she's really rooted in this Black Lives Matter movement. And, you know, people in this movement could use, I mean, everyone can use healing or growth and growth if we choose, but especially people doing this kind of service work. So there's that. And I told her, you know, it relates to, let's clear that inadequacy, unseen, unheard. And she said, just today I was feeling shame looking in the mirror with my new haircut and my partner watching me. So there's that. But what came up was I told her, you're earth spirit woman, do ceremonies. Perhaps you will place stones on different parts of the earth and do some kind of a, I don't know, a earth ceremony. So I was in my yard this morning and I was sort of cleaning things up. I moved in about a year ago. So it's still, although the nuts and bolts and the beauty is there, it's a work in progress. And it's coming about. I've got all these
Wonderful.
rocks in the corner on the side of the house. They're big lava rocks, and I haven't yet placed them because the landscaping and veggie garden is kind of just going in. Just this early morning, one of the first things I did when I got up move these stones in sort of a nicer formation. I said, talk about stones, you know, moving stones, and for the client, and me too. And then, you know, I knew that you had your call this morning, and I read the newsletter, you know, and leave no stone unturned. And to me, that means right now, what I'm saying, what's coming to me is leave no person, animal, and part of our land. It all matters. It's all essential. And isn't this a time to be close and connected? Okay, so we have these obstacles. Unquietly, we have a lot of rules and restrictions. It's hurting people mentally and economically. We have no pandemic here, but it's sort of a top-down approach, so some of it needs to be followed. I'm beginning to not participate. Some stores that are very restrictive of wearing a mask on an extremely hot day, when they asked me to cover all of it up and I'm sweating and I came in from the high 90s and humidity, the high heat, I'll say, no, thank you, and I'll leave the store. They asked me to use their sanitizer. I don't know what's in it. I could certainly carry my own everywhere I go. So I've started to be that way when it feels right, not to cause a rift or put in anger, because I feel this is an essential time to help the collective and help ourselves by following our guidance and our inner clock. If I feel like didn't spend much time with much of anyone the last 2-3 months, I'm just
Yeah,
starting to,
that's tough.
I felt guided to stay focused on the light, and add to the light. And if there's people or factions or stores or whatever that was not, and I still need to go shopping, I made it quick and I came back to my home because it shook, I think, a lot of people unsettled. And I feel happy, settled, new, amazing ideas are coming to me that I've never had up until now. It's very creative. And I started this healing support groups.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Lady came out of it, came to me. So I had my very first Zoom group ever. And those
Oh,
ladies
great.
from two in New York City, and they needed it. I had New York City, North Carolina, Ohio, California, and me over here, all of the states. And I said, I'll do it for India and Europe because people may be at home Zooming. Some people are still not back to work.
Right.
Let's get connected and heal ourselves. I didn't go into politics too much or what's happening too much unless somebody shared. It was about us. How can I be happy? How can I feel at peace because I'm overwhelmed? How can I feel connected because I'm not at home? My mom's in the hospital. That's one lady. And I'm far from home, caring for her, understanding that. I just lost my job and I've got to get on unemployment. And that's what's happening with people. And this special group connected. They all shared emails and phone numbers. And they said, I feel like I'm with people. I have support. I set the stage and they ran with it.
Yeah, I think Bhavana, thank you so much for that share because I think that it is a time for community right now. And that's the beauty that's a really positive statement about where we are right now, that we're connecting in different ways. We're not personally together, but don't you feel that the reach is so much greater than before, where we had to travel to these different places? We couldn't possibly be with all these people at the same time or them with us, but now we can be. So, I mean, I'm going to just put you on mute again. Thank you so much for your share, but that is amazing. And the whole thing about everybody's healing, your share about the young African American woman, and all of the healing that's going on, centuries of slavery and everything that's in our DNA and all of that. I want to share one thing because we're kind of coming to the end of the time, and I want to check also. There we go. Yeah, in Messenger. I want to share with you something that happened. First of all, there's one thing that's going on that's very present in my life right now, and Bhavana can probably appreciate this living in the Hawaiian Islands, is we have a house here, and my husband and I bought this house. It was a wreck in 2001, and it was, in those days, houses didn't cost that as much as they do now in the neighborhood that we live in, but it was something we could afford. We bought it from our church. It was the parsonage, and they wanted to sell it, and so we bought it. So we got a sweetheart deal, and that was just because we were masterminding. We were masterminding that we would find this house. Well, over the years, my husband is a contractor, most of you know, and he was putting in skylights. He was renovating. We did all the electrical new. We did all the plumbing had to be redone because it was at that time a 40-year-old house. Now it's a 60-year-old house. And it was a tract home. It was just built up, the way they built houses in Hawaii in those days, which is, slap them up and, create communities wherever. And long story short, with this type of weather that we've been having, it's been very humid and rainy now, but humid, and you see these termites flying around, right? Well, we determined that there was a lot of termites, and they were in our house, and they're eating our house out from the inside out. And so right now we're in the process of getting them to leave, and it's been a real big metaphor for me and my husband to look at the layers. What we're discovering is the layers of renovation that we've done here. So there was the initial 2001. There was a renovation that was ongoing after that. There was a 2007 renovation. There was a 2012 renovation. There was a renovation in 2017. So, I mean, we've been doing this journey for a long time. And talk about overturning or leaving no stone unturned. That in the initial renovation, we were in a big hurry because we needed to move out. Our rental landlord had said, you guys got to get out because I want to sell this house. And we didn't want to buy it. So we bought this house. Fortunately, it came up for us. And we had to get out and get in. Well, this house wasn't ready. It wasn't habitable. I mean, there was windows, rooms that didn't have windows. There were no doors. We had a plane ticket booked to go back to see our family in Switzerland in August, and we bought it in June. And so we had to somehow get house sitters in here. I mean, we were in a hurry in the beginning. And so now we're discovering getting these termites out and going down through the layers, and talk about Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter, of discovering what's hidden and letting things be uncovered the way that my husband did it initially. He says he wouldn't do it that way again. He's having the opportunity to reflect on it and to look at how he did it, who he is now, who he was then. And I have the same thing. I can look at who I was then, what kind of pressure was I putting him under, who I am now, and how am I relating to this situation? What's the situation right now for me? Am I stressing out about it? I mean, it's not easy to look at your house all torn up, right? You know, it was pretty nice before. So it's a journey, and it fits into the times that we're in, and that's part of the reason. But I also want to relate to you an email that I got from someone who was on the Signature Cell Healing website, and he was purchasing something there and having difficulties with it. And he's in Europe, and I was having difficulties getting response to my emails to help him. And finally, I got an email back, and I offered him a refund because he wasn't able to partake in it. There were some difficulties. So I said, you know, I would also like to pray for you, because he said, I wasn't able to get the product. And by the way, I've been bed bound for 12 years. And I read that. I mean, that was it. I wasn't able to access the product, and I've been bed bound for 12 years. That's all. And so my immediate feeling was like, I got no problems. I got challenges. I got things going on in my life. I got no problems. Somebody that's bed bound for 12 years certainly has more challenges than I do. Everybody feels like, you know, we all feel like these are our challenges. So it's challenging to us, right? Whether it's relationships or, you know, finding a place to live, or, you know, how do you get along with your family? All of this, when it's ours, it feels really difficult, right? Well, for me, all it takes is to understand who are the people that I'm here in service with. You know, who are the people that honor me with their presence in my life? And this man did. And so I immediately, you know, offered. Now you get the kicker of this story. I offered, I would really like to pray for you, and I would like to put your healing request in our prayer bowl at the Honolulu Church of Light, you know, and where we have, you know, services first and third Sunday, and it's online, and you could even join us. And there's another guy I know that is also bedbound, and he's with us too. I mean, nothing that means anything, but and then I got an email back almost immediately, and he said, "Oh yeah, thank you for the refund. I'll take the refund." And I don't want prayers, because usually prayers make it worse. And I was just like, okay, this is a good lesson for me as well, because what did I learn from Kahu Fred Sterling, right? Is the question you ask is, do you want to heal? Do you want to heal? And when the answer is yes, I do, then you know they're going to do the journey with you, but ask the question. So in effect, I did ask the question saying, may I pray for you? And can we put your healing request? And he said no. So I have to honor that. And I have to honor that people are where they are, and that's where they want to be. Because if you don't want to be where you are right now, I'm talking about me too, you know, with the termites, you know, what's the next step? What's the 5 or 50? And if I'm going to sit down and cry, and, you know, if the fellow, you know, God bless him, if he's bedbound for 12 years, that's where where he is. And I'm not going to say good or bad. I'm not going to be in judgment of his journey. It's where he chooses to be. So I'm looking at where I'm choosing to be at any moment, and what's my next step. What's my next step? I love that. That's the online series. First step. So, humbly from my heart, have a look this month, in the month of transition, at where you are with your journey and your transitional process, your healing process. What's triggering you? What's making you angry? Like Bhavana's client there, looking in the mirror and feeling the shame and things like that. I mean, what kind of shame might my husband have felt to think that, well, I built it this way, but the termites got it, I mean, he's got to deal with that if that's what he's feeling. And I've got to deal with the fact that I love him and I appreciate everything that he's done here. And I don't want to be in judgment of him either. We are where we are. So let's take a next step. Let's do the 5 or 50 journey. So I'm getting a message from Aldine that says, celebrate this month, the 7th month, as transitioning, balancing of the 4 bodies towards love. Tomorrow's the 5th, right? The 5th. So yeah, today's the 4th, and that carries a lot of energy here in the United States. It feels really different to me this year. But I'm a citizen also of another country. So the next time we have our Healing Moments program on August 1st, that's National Day of the other country that I'm a citizen of, Switzerland. So we're going to do 2 national days in 2 months in a row. But all of it, to be nationalistic and all of that, to me sometimes just blurs the thing that I was talking about with Sandra. There's no separation. And when you look at Mother Earth in our healing meditation for Mother Earth, which by the way is going to be on the 30th, the 31st of July is our next healing moment, our global healing meditation for Mother Earth. And when we do that meditation, if you're like me, you rise up above with your energy, you rise up above the earth, and you get into Diamond Head. But I mean, getting there, or after you get there, rise up and take the weave around Mother Earth for healing for everyone. You don't see any borders, you don't see any boundaries, and that's really the way. That's really the truth. That there's no separation between Sandra, between you and I, or anybody in government, or anybody that I meet on the street. We're all the same creator energy, and we're all walking our own personal journey of healing here, moving from fear to love, and from love to enlightenment. And that's a beautiful. It's a beautiful time of the Great Shift right now. I also want to, before we go, and if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to take them. I mentioned the first steps, the next first steps to Signature Cell Healing, Healing the Self online series is going to be in September, I believe. I don't have the dates yet, but dates might be on my website. There's a page there for that. Then I also want to remind you of the channeling from Goddess Sophia that's on my website, and it is partially from me, my story. This is before we found the termites. I'll write about that next month. And the partial is about a message of healing from Goddess Sophia for our global healing meditation for Mother Earth. So just know that the guidance realm is participating with us. And if you go there in meditation, I mean, this last time I shared on the event page that the galactic forces are strongly working with us. And it's a beautiful sight to behold. It's just wonderful. So I pray you'll join us on the 31st. And there's going to be information on Facebook or the information on my website at KarinnaNielsen.com. Remember, I read something somewhere. Maybe this is a good ending for a program. Wait, one last thing. We're all at different levels. Sandra says we're all at different levels of the awakened state. Oh, thank you. Compliment on the channeling, and thank you. It's Sophia and I are getting closer and closer together, and I'm grateful. Yes, I would say we're all on different levels of our own awakened state. So awakening to the truth of who we are personally, and it's the love that we are, and we there's no judgment on the journey. There are younger souls, there are medium-aged souls, and there are older souls on this planet. So I mean, we were all younger souls at one point, and we did the experience of what younger souls do. So that when I learned about that, I mean, when I realized that, of course, we have laws and we have, you know, ways that we expect people to behave, but we all go through an evolutionary process of remembering to be in love and to remembering who we are. So I saw this quote, and actually it's the title of a book, and the title of the book is "You're Never Upset for the Reason You Think." Can you imagine that? What a great title, right? Because think about what you're upset about right now. Think about what is giving you cause to worry, causing you concern, making you angry, frustrating you, scaring you. Think about that. And then think a little bit beyond that, because it's not the reason. You're never upset for the reason that you think. And I want to leave you with that, because that really gives us an opportunity this month, in the month of transition, to transition our thinking and our way of experiencing life on earth. How can we take it to another level and look those fears straight in the eye, face the music, don't run away. It's a time to really engage with your own blueprint and your own healing journey. And I'm grateful, and I'm available to, you know, for readings or for distance healings, also mentoring in Lemurian wisdom. I look forward to being with you again next month on the 1st of August, and also throughout the month, I'll be sending out another special newsletter about the First Steps course. And I hope you can join me, because it's pretty good timing for anybody, a little early for Hawaii, but other parts of the world, I pray you'll join me. With that said, and I thank everybody for your participation today, and wish you a good month of transition. Aloha, everybody.